Hello everyone, and welcome to the Counselor New Feature Summary for June 2019, Part 2. We're going to start off here by talking about the Appointment Lifecycle Summary. This is a new feature that's available from underneath the Business option in the top menu bar. You'd simply select Lifecycle Summary. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a look at the whole life cycle of an appointment, starting with the initial details all the way through whether a claim was submitted. So you obviously can set your parameters, date range, clinic, staff. You also can select this by a specific appointment type if you like. That's up to you. I'm going to go ahead then and click on Run Report. This is then going to show me, as I mentioned, the specific details for each appointment and what happened essentially downstream from there, right? So we can see the appointment information, then we can see the visit information, so we can see the status, we can see whether a super bill was created. As we move towards the right here, we can then see invoice information, claim information, as well as I mentioned, the status of any claim as well. The status, of course, would be if you are working with Apex EDI as your clearinghouse, that's where some of those status updates come from as far as after the claim had been sent out. Although, of course, you can manually update those as well. Point being is that through this appointment lifecycle feature, you can filter and sort on different areas if you want to try to make sure nothing's falling through the cracks, that you're not missing anything. If you wanted to do a review of certain types of appointments and just see what was the downstream effect from there. There's a lot you can do with this to hopefully be able to take a step back and look at either just your own appointments or clinic-wide appointments and get a better sense of what's happening all the way through the process. All right, so once again, that's available underneath the top menu bar under Business and then Life Cycle Summary. All right, the second area here is related to email tracking. This will give you much better data as to what actually happened with an email. So let's go ahead and bring open a sample patient here. Within the patient's profile, of course, at the very bottom is the patient notes section. That's where you see that log, that kind of history of any emails that were sent out. So here we go. Here's an example of an email was sent to a valid email address. In fact, my email address. I'm going to go ahead and click View, and it's going to show me, of course, the email that was sent. That's been there for some time. But what we've added new is this detailed section that shows you from to when it was delivered in this case, because it was, I guess, at a valid email address. I can see when it was delivered and when it was last opened. Okay. I also can see any attachments that were added to that email. So in this case, 2 attachments were added. I would actually be able to download those. So the point of this is that if down the road the patient has questions about an email that was sent to them, you have the ability to really see the full detail on what was included with that email, both from a messaging standpoint here, but also regarding attachments, and actually what happened with that email. Now, if the email was sent to an invalid address, let's go ahead and click here, we'll be able to see that that email was in fact bounced, right, and when the date and time of when that occurred. We still, of course, can see the details of the email as well as, in this case, as well the attachment. All right. Last but not least here, let's look at claim submission. So if you work with Apex EDI as your claims clearinghouse, there now is a new feature where you're able to set the credentials, those would be the login credentials for the Apex system, for all your staff at once. So you actually would be able to go under administration and then within the user list, and if you select one provider, in the advanced settings field, or tab, I'm sorry, and then under the Apex EDI settings, there is an option now to set Apex credentials for all clinic staff. So instead of having to go through each staff member and update any credentials, you could simply enter them one time, check this box, you'd click close, and then very importantly, you would click save after that. Now it's important to note that you would make sure you're careful with this. So if you do have providers that maybe do have different credentials, for example, even within the same clinic, you would want to likely not use this feature. You want to make sure you set up each staff member individually on a clinic by clinic basis. But if it's consistent across providers for a full clinic, as well as maybe across all your locations, you can very easily use that to get your credentials in place and of course keep them nice and consistent. If you ever have any questions, by the way, about your Apex credentials or any issues you're having with signing into Apex, please feel free to reach out to us. We have tools where we can look on our side to see what the potential issue may be and then of course help resolve them promptly. So thank you very much for joining us for the new feature summary for June 2019 Part 2. We love hearing your ideas. Please keep them coming. We have more really great stuff coming out soon. So stay tuned. Have a great rest of your week.